GBU-38 GPS-guided. Hello there, welcome back. Situational awareness. I have a mission here for you from the gun track campaign with a bagel fix. We are going towards the second chapter, that is air to ground. And we have our first mission, which is about situational awareness, probably attacking some SAM sites and some trucks or something like that. Let's go. As I always say, it's better to read the briefing. Let's see, situational awareness. Use the SA page, the situational awareness page, to avoid air defenses and execute a ground attack against a pair of trucks. And we have a TO on waypoint 2, that's target of opportunity. We have GPS coordinates of a target. And we have 2 or 3 SAM sites and a truck. Let's see, how do we begin this?
Great work getting through the navigation block of the training. Now that we know how to get where we're going, it's time to get to the fun part. A couple of notes to start with. First, you won't have to enter waypoints anymore, as you've proven you know how, and it's faster to just have them loaded to begin with. Second, in the same spirit, we'll start the missions with the aircraft turned on and ready to go, so no more startups required.
Yes, no more startup. Yes, thank you.
As satisfying as it is to drop bombs on targets, the ability to do so is useless if we're unable to get to the target area. Situational awareness is a critical component of flying the Hornet, primarily because even if there are no enemy fighters in the air to attack you, you're not necessarily safe. Most targets worthy of bombing will likely have some kind of air defense intended to shoot down attacking aircraft. For this flight, we're going to learn the first part of detecting and evading air defenses, then RTB, and practice our Case 1 recovery.
Return to base, it's
Before
RTB.
we can do any of that, though, we need to get some ordnance on the aircraft. While many missions will have your aircraft pre-equipped with the recommended loadout, others will not, so it's important for you to become familiar with the refuel/rearm interface so you can ensure you're properly armed for each mission.
Yeah, so we have to arm ourselves.
To access the interface, you can either press the appropriate keybind or contact your ground crew via the COM menu and request refuel/rearm.
Alright, let's request the interface, \key, and request abort takeoff and parent menu. Where is the rearm? Yeah, here it is. F11 and F8 ground crew, and we have rearm and refuel with F1. Let's press IP to continue. If we can do that, but we can't till we have this window open. Let's press IP then.
This is the ordnance page where we can set up our aircraft for the mission. The right side of the screen allows you to set up fuel, gun ammo, and chaff/flare quantities, as well as preset ordnance loadouts and liveries for the Hornet. On the left under the image of the aircraft is where you can manually select weapons for each station, which is numbered from right to left. Each station has certain weapons or equipment that can be loaded.
He's talking about this.
9 are on the wingtips and are for missiles, usually AIM-9X Sidewinder short-range, heat-seeking missiles.
1 and 9.
These are great for taking out aircraft within visual range, such as helicopters or enemy fighters who wander too close. Stations 2 through 8 can all be equipped with
2
bombs, missiles,
and 8.
or external fuel tanks as desired, though there are typical use cases. Stations 3, 5, and 7 are usually where external fuel tanks will be mounted when required, though they can be equipped with various weapons as well. External fuel tanks can be dropped to significantly decrease aircraft weight and drag in an emergency. For missions requiring maximum ordnance, you may only have a single external tank in Station 3 to free up the other 2 for weapons. Stations 2, 3, 7, and 8 are generally for bombs, whether single heavy bombs or pods with clusters of bombs attached. Station 4 is typically reserved for the @FLIR targeting pod, as it's the only station where this can be equipped. While this station can certainly be equipped with weapons, having an @FLIR pod equipped generally provides far more value than one more bomb or missile. Station 6 can be used for bombs, but is typically reserved for a single AIM-120 Advanced Medium Range Air-to-Air (AMRAAM) radar-guided missile, usually for the rare situation
long
where
range.
you're surprised by an enemy fighter that wasn't supposed to be there. For this mission, we have 2 trucks to take out, which only
Two
require
trucks.
light weaponry to destroy. Since we spent all that time learning how to enter GPS coordinates in the last part of the course, we already know how to set up precision bombing via coordinates. Go ahead and equip stations 3 and 7 with GBU-38 500-pound GPS-guided bombs by right-clicking them and going to bomb GBU-38. Leave the center fuel tank equipped. Once you're configured, press the OK button to instruct the ground crew to change your loadout. Once you're told rearming is complete, press IP to continue.
So let's equip with the bombs and the GBU-38 JDAM 500 LBS GPS-guided bomb. So this is right on 3 here and on 7. Alright, leave the center fuel tank equipped. Once you're configured, press the OK button to instruct the ground crew to change the loadout. Let's bring this and select another livery, the Kona, make it red. Alright, everything else looks okay, and let's press OK to load the bombs.
Request rearming.
Copy.
And now these 2
Fueling complete.
external tanks will be replaced with 2 GPS-guided bombs, 500 pounds. So they changed the middle, and the bomb is here, that green and small, and on the other side too. Let's press F1 and press IP to continue.
We have the weapons loaded, but by default they're in an unusable
Rearming
condition to
complete.
prevent accidents. We're going to need to configure the weapons so that they're active and ready to drop, and it's usually better to do it here on the ground than while we're up in the air trying to get ourselves on target. Weapon configuration is accomplished from the stores page, which can be accessed from the TAC menu on the MDI. You can get there manually with the menu, or you can simply press the air to ground AG mode button on the left side of the cockpit. The stores page will automatically pop up on the left. Incidentally, you'll need to be in air to ground mode to release your weapon, so get used to pressing that button.
Alright, I pressed it. So this is the TAC menu and the source page for pressing this air to ground button. Alright, press IP to continue.
Select the J82 push button along the top to select the weapon, which will box it. A timer will appear on the screen, which is an indicator that the weapon is being aligned for use. Once it reaches 7:30, it will be good enough for government work. A full perfect alignment can take up to 10 minutes. Be advised that if you deselect the weapon, the countdown will stop and you'll have to start over before you can use it. This is important to remember because you'll always need to be sure to have plenty of time for the weapon to align before using it. The alignment will continue even if you select other weapons, but be sure to not specifically deselect the weapon or it will shut down and the alignment process will have to restart. The first thing we need to do is be sure we arm all the warhead fuses. Dropping bombs that don't explode sort of defeats the purpose, so we're going to use the only option available for this device, the E-fuse. Press the push button for it and select instant. Setting up our first target is extremely easy, so let's do that now. The station you currently have selected will be boxed, and you can switch between them using the step function. If you're not already, step over to Station 7, the right station, then press the mode button to put it in Target of Opportunity, TOO, mode. Once that's done, on another MDI, select the HSI page, then advance to Waypoint 2 and press the waypoint designate, WPDSG, button to assign waypoint 2 as the weapon's target. That's it, just a couple of button presses and it's done. Of course, you'll almost always have additional targets nearby your assigned target waypoint, so we'll need to be able to take care of them as well. This is where the GPS data entry we practiced comes in.
Alright, so let's recap. Alright, setting up our first target is easy. The station you currently have selected will be boxed, and you can switch between one with the step function. This here, the step function. Alright, and if you're not already, step over to station 7, the right station. This is station 7, the right station. Then press mode button to put it in TOO, target of opportunity, which I did. I pressed this mode button and put it in target of opportunity mode. Alright, then once that's done, on the other MDI select, right MDI select the HSI page, which I selected, then advanced waypoint 2, which I did advanced in waypoint 2, then press weapon designate WPDCG, which was here somewhere, but it disappeared once I pressed it, to assign waypoint 2 as a weapons target. That's it, just a couple of button presses and it's done. Alright, so we'll need probably to introduce the GPS data entry for the weapon. Pressing IP to continue.
Step to station 3 and verify it's in pre-planned PP mode. Then press the JDAM display button on the top right. To the left will appear the release type button, which provides options for the different weapon release types. Select manual, and then look for the mission button above it. At the top of this screen, you'll see 5 options which correspond to separate mission profiles you can program into the computer. In general, you're only going to use one, but just be aware that these profiles provide you with extensive flexibility. For now, just press the TGTUFC button to enter the target coordinates for the weapon.
Nice. I don't have the TGTUFC button. TGTUFC. Target UFC. Alright, mode, release type, manual. Alright, mode pre-planned, PP1J, release manual, quantity TM, erase JDAM, MSN, HDG, return. So there is no TGTUFC button on the stores page. Let's read it. You'll see 5 options which correspond to separate mission profiles. Probably this was updated. There are no longer 5 options. If I'm pressing release type, I'm going to see only manual, auto, loft and FD, step, quantity and HSI DKLTR. That's it. So I need to find general. You're only going to use one, but just be aware these profiles provided with extensive. For now, just press the TGTUFC button to enter the target coordinates. Now let's search the TGTUFC button by pressing menu and going to stores page and JDAM display step sim bit e-fuse advanced and nothing else, and I select with the step station 3. Station 3 is now selected, and there is no TGT there anyway. On the HSI page, this is something else. On the UFC, on the center console, nothing. So this is a bummer. So here this mission is not updated anymore, so I can't introduce the data for the bomb, the GPS data. So there have to be another way. Let's press data. Nothing happens. JDAM display. Let's press this has to be mode PP, erase, release type MSN, pre-planned MSN, HTGUNDF, TGTUFC. I found it. Alright, let's see, find it again, menu, so we know for sure where it is. In stores, with the with the station 3 selected and pre-planned mode, if use, going to data, no, going to JDAM display, and from JDAM display going to MSN, and from MSN to TGT UFC, where probably I have to press the POSN.
The data entry is a bit different for this particular application. As you can see, there are 3 options that appear. 2 you should recognize and a 3rd you won't. We can ignore the uppermost option for now. Tap the position button so we can get the coordinates put in.
I tapped it.
Again, this will be slightly different from entering a waypoint. You have to manually choose latitude or longitude, then enter the coordinate in as usual. Go ahead and press the LAT button, then enter the latitude provided in the briefing.
Let's see, the latitude provided in the briefing is probably north, 42, 53, 57.
Then do the same for long. The decimal screen shows up blank for this one, but just enter everything in the way you were trained. Once the coordinates are in, go back to the stores page and tap the TGTUFC button twice to return to the UFC menu. Then tap the elevation option and enter it as normal. Once all that's done, step through the 2 stations to verify that one is in TOO mode and the other is in PP mode. Then press the return button at the bottom of the stores page. Lastly, press the AG button to return to navigation mode so we can use our waypoints.
Alright, so let's start it again. Going back to menu, stores page, and data with the station 3 selected, not data, sorry, with the JDAM display, and here at MSN, and from MSN TGT UFC, select the position and select the latitude, and here I have to select the north. The north, let's see, briefing 42, 53, 57. Enter, and east. (45, 22). Oops, this was with decimals. Whoops. Whoops, 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 whoops. Clear. Let's try with a decimal. 01. Enter. And I have something. Target north 42, 53, 57, 01. Alright, let's continue to east, which is not working. And I cleared it again. POSN, let's say longitude, east. So that's the way how it's done. So actually, after pressing the TGT UFC button and pressing the position, the POSN, you have to press north, introduce the north coordinates, and pressing enter the decimal 2, and after that press the longitude and press east and press the east coordinates 45, 22, 16, 45, 22, 16, enter, and the decimal is 76, enter, and it appeared here, as you can see. Let's press the TGT UFC again, press the elevation with the feet selected and briefing 50-26 feet, enter, verifying it's here 50-26 feet. Alright, it should be okay. Let's see what it says here. Then tap the elevation and enter it. Once all this done, step through the two stations and verify that one is in target of opportunity and the other one is in pre-planned mode. So let's go back to stores page, and one it's in pre-planned, and step that's on target of opportunity, station 7. Alright, lastly press air to ground button to navigate, to return to navigation. Well, let's press air to ground, and there is no navigation, only AMPCD has it. Let's press the IP then.
Now that we're armed and dangerous, let's talk about the flight. As stated, we have 2 trucks that have been set up as practice targets, but we need to get you in the habit from the start to be looking out for the various air defense systems that will inevitably be in your way. On this flight, there will be 2 Russian SA-3 sites, each with an effective range of up to 10 miles. They have been deliberately placed so that their effective ranges fall along your flight path, meaning you'll have to manually navigate to avoid them as you make your way to waypoint 2. Let's go ahead and get into the air, climb to an altitude of 15,000 feet, and maintain an airspeed of 350 knots until instructed otherwise. When we get to waypoint 1, we'll talk about how we're going to avoid the SAM sites.
Alright, 15,000 feet, 350 knots. Let's select HSI page on the right MDI. Waypoint 1 selected, sequence 1, and I think we are going to the left. Leave the stores page there. Let me just enable the ALR. It's in test. Let's wait till it changes. Switch the mode. Oh, come on. Alright, it's on standby right now, so mode manual 1. This is the chafs and flare. Going back to the HSI page for the waypoints, and we are good to go. We have air to ground selected and the master arm is on. Let's request the takeoff.
Colt 1, request takeoff.
And radio silence. I'll stop on the number 13 and verify.
Colt 1, unable to clear for takeoff.
Unable to clear.
Colt 1, Lozani, you are cleared for takeoff already. Climb
Alright, we are clear to take off. Brakes on. Afterburner. Brakes off. And we have a takeoff. Gears up. What did I push? Turning towards waypoint 1, gaining altitude, 20 degrees climb, directly into the sun, flying blindly almost. I can't see my speed, 320, 8,000 feet. Nine miles till waypoint 1. I can't see my altitude. Almost 14,000. Now it's 15,000. Leveling off. Alright, slowing down. Throttle to idle. ATC enabled. 365. Disabled. Enabled again at 348 knots.
Okay, now that we're en route, we need to talk about the situational awareness, or SA page, which is located on the TAC menu. Go ahead and switch one of your MDIs to it now. This is very similar to the HSI we were using in the navigation training, but it's able to do quite a bit more than just point you in the right direction. As the name implies, it can provide you with a much more complete picture of the battlefield than your own aircraft systems can by itself. One of the most helpful parts of all this is the data link system we've been turning on during our startup procedures. Other aircraft equipped with the same system and on the same network can send us the information they're getting from their detection systems, and our data link can place that image on our SA page. This makes it an invaluable tool in keeping tabs on what potential threats might be nearby.
So I switched towards waypoint 2.
There are 2 surface-to-air missile, or SAM, sites placed along our route. You should be able to see them on the SA page now. Note the large
This circle
dash rings
here.
surrounding them. These are their threat rings, which indicate the distance at which they can engage targets. In general, your goal is to avoid these rings so you don't get shot at. Continue along the route, but do your best to keep outside the threat rings. Stay as close as you can to the course line without entering the threat rings, as our lineup for the bombing run is based on that approach. If you're too far off, you won't be able to accurately release your weapons. Once you're through and approaching waypoint 2, we'll talk about how to bomb the trucks.
Alright, so we just have to go straight 12 o'clock and brake a little right to go around the SAM, the first SAM site, and see what happens after that. Let's increase the time. Alright, so as you can see, we are pretty close now. Disabling the autopilot, braking easy left. Let's do it like several degrees. This should suffice. So down to our left, somewhere at 10 o'clock, actually 9 o'clock, there must be a SAM site. Right there somewhere. That's a ground-to-air missile. Let's increase the time. Alright, so we are now heading towards the target, which is, I think, just past the second SAM site. So now we'll have to go around on the left side. Let's increase the time.
Site. So let's talk about the bombing process. GPS-guided weapons are fire and forget. As long as you did your data entry correctly, they go where you told them to go. The only thing you have to do is get yourself properly lined up and drop the weapon when the system tells you so. Fortunately, the Hornet will make this very easy. First, go ahead and apply maximum afterburner so we can get our speed as high as possible before dropping our weapons. The faster we're going, the further out we can drop them. Then turn on A/G mode, set the master arm switch to arm, double check that you have station 7 selected on the stores page, then change your SA page to the HSI, as the indicator we need doesn't show up on the SA page. On the screen you should see a cone-shaped area just before waypoint 2. This is called the weapon engagement zone. You should notice that the zone is getting bigger. This is because we're getting faster, which increases the range of the weapon. Once you enter this area, the weapon will display an in zone on the HUD, which tells you you're ready to drop the bomb on the target. You should also be able to see the target displayed on the HUD to help you fly over it, along with range information along the right side. Just fly toward the target, and once you're inside the cone and the HUD tells you that you're in zone, go ahead and drop the bomb with the weapon release button. Note that this is not your trigger, as that is reserved for guns and missiles. It is usually a thumb-activated button on your stick, or you can use the keybind. The second target is close enough to the first that we can get them both on a single pass, so once you release the first one, watch for the HSI to reset and display a slightly new cone. You'll already be inside the engagement zone, so the HUD will immediately show you as in zone, and you can press the weapon release a second time to engage the other truck. You would normally set your weapons up to release at the same time with a single press of the button, but 2 and PP mode don't work together, and we wanted to teach you both, so for this lesson you'll have to manually drop each one. Once both weapons are away, reduce throttle to come out of afterburner and begin your egress toward waypoint 3, as since you don't need to guide the bombs in, there's no reason to overfly the targets and potentially expose yourself to anti-aircraft guns. It might take longer than you expect for the weapons to hit their targets, but assuming you entered everything correctly, there will be a couple of satisfying explosions in your near future.
Alright, get this window out. Let's align with the target. Okay, disable the ATC and push in some speed. Alright, the air to ground button is pressed and the master arm is on. We have the target just in front. When we will enter this cone, right here, we release the first bomb. We are in, first released. The cone has already reset it, and we have the station tree selected. We can press the second release. Alright, did that. Let's go with the bombs. So this is the first one, and this is the second one. Decrease our speed. Alright, let's put in a bolt going back to the bombs. Oh, the first one is hitting this one. Bam! Good. And this is the second one. GBU-38 GPS-guided and with target of opportunity set.
Looks like you got them.
Almost.
Egress to waypoint 3 for further instructions. Be sure to turn off AG mode and set your master arm. Switch to safe.
Waypoint 3 selected. Air to ground switch off. Master arm off. Here. So everything is safe, and now we are heading towards waypoint 3. The targets have been destroyed. The second bomb fell somewhere 40 meters to the left of the second target. Beautiful, isn't it? She's beautiful. Alright, let's switch on the HSI on the right MDI. See where we are. Increasing time. 10 miles towards waypoint 3. 3 miles.
Keys of the Case 1 recovery, approaching the carrier. As you can imagine, carrier operations can get pretty busy, and it's important for pilots to be able to quickly and efficiently get back on the carrier with a minimum of discussion and delay. As such, there is a specific, choreographed procedure for approaching and landing on the carrier.
Yep.
The controlled airspace around the carrier extends to 50 miles, so as you enter that range you'll need to contact the carrier on the Marshall frequency to let them know you're inbound. They'll respond with a block of information followed by a request to report when you can see them at about 10 miles. Once you reach 10 miles, you'll confirm you can see the carrier, then inform them that you can see them with a "see you at 10" call. Marshall will respond with a directive to switch to the tower. This is done automatically in DCS. At a certain point in your approach to the carrier, you'll automatically report to the tower. Once you hear that the signal is Charlie, you're technically cleared to begin your recovery, but to ensure you understand the Marshall stack, should you be asked to use it, we're going to simulate it over the airfield.
Nah.
The Marshall stack is a column of airspace 5 miles in diameter directly to the left of the carrier, starting at 2,000 feet where returning aircraft circle to wait for their assigned recovery time. These are generally broken up into 1,000-foot blocks, with each aircraft entering from the top and slowly making their way to the bottom as each lower level becomes available. For the purpose of just getting the idea in your head, we'll assume that the lowest block at 2,000 feet is clear and we can enter there. Open your kneeboard and look at the Case 1 traffic pattern insert. You can enter the pattern at any of these points, but you can only depart for your recovery at point 3. As you can see on the image, you'll make a wide turn to come around the stern of the carrier and then approach at 350 knots and 800-foot AGL, just like we practiced in the last block. We have no means of communicating with the airfield as if it were a carrier, so I'll just make callouts for you as you get within the ranges we discussed, just to get you used to hearing them. Once you hear me say, "See you at 10, approach the airfield and enter as close to what you judge position 1 to be as you can, then do a complete circle all the way through until you hit position 3 for a second time. This will simulate waiting in the stack, and then departing at your assigned time.
Okay.
For this first try, I'll give you verbal callouts for the pattern so you understand what's going on.
Whoops.
The runway at Vatsiani is obviously much longer than the aircraft carrier will be, so we'll use the runway numbers as the center of the carrier to use as your visual reference in relation to the diagram. Place your imagined position 1 there. Be sure to set up your TAC and to track the airfield, as this is how you gauge your distance to the carrier, so you know when to make your calls.
Alright, press S and message history because we missed a lot here. So the Marshall stack is a column of, I don't know, yeah, and where is for the purpose, enter there, traffic, come on, where's the kneeboard? I think it's return to base case 1, you can imagine quickly and efficiently 50 miles, request seeing you at 10 miles, you confirm the carrier informed that see you at 10, this is automatically made, certain carrier approach, and you're going to similar, still ingress to waypoint 3 for further instructions. Oh, where are you? We are returning aircraft assigned. There are generally 1,000 for the purpose of getting the ideal assumed 2,000 feet. Open your kneeboard and look at the case 1 traffic pattern insert. Let's see, where is the case 1? This is airdrome chart. Oh, so I have to enable. Yep. There are 66 pages. This could be it. Visual operation Kutaisi. Oh my god, where's the case 1? Page 33.
Okay, we're within 50 miles, so you would contact Marshall here. It would be formatted. Marshall, your tail number, marking MOMS, bearing from carrier, at distance, your altitude, your fuel state. This is all done automatically through the comms menu. Once you're within 50 miles, you would activate your COM1 call radio menu keybind, select the carrier, and report inbound. The carrier will respond with
I'm approaching
your tail
50
number,
miles.
visibility at carrier, weather ceiling at carrier, altimeter setting, type of recovery, expected recovery heading, BRC, and an instruction to report seeing the carrier at 10 miles. At this point, you would normally be given a Charlie time, which is the exact time you leave the pattern and begin your case 1 recovery. DCS does not include this as part of their ATC functionality, so you won't get this for most missions unless the developer has specifically added it for custom missions. Since this training is geared for general use, we won't include it here. For our practice, let's just assume you were given a Charlie time and I'll just tell you when to land. As you approach the carrier, reduce your airspeed to 250 knots, enter the Marshall stack at 2,000 feet AGL, and begin a shallow left turn that takes you about 5 miles to the left of the runway on the other side of the circle. We will provide smoke markers of the positions to help. After you've crossed the runway twice, exit the pattern at position 3, then swing around to the right of the runway to begin your Case 1 recovery.
This is impossible for a new player learning to digest so much information in such a short time, and flying. Alright, we still have 40 miles. Let's open the kneeboard. So this is the Case 1 recovery graphic. Let's also open the message history, which is somehow overlapping and I can't resize it. Alright, anyways, let's close this for a short period of time. Let's see what's happening on the kneeboard. We can see the carrier which is going towards north. Yeah, and we are approaching from here. So this is the entry. Initial begin 3 nautical miles behind the boat. So this is 800 feet. So here on this point, so right to the right side of the carrier, it's 800 feet altitude and 350 knots speed. Alright, so going forward, we have a brake at 1 to 1.5 miles, throttle to idle, and with speed brake extended, brake left. So from here at 800 feet with 350 knots, brake left 90 degrees with the air brake extended. The speed should go off to 250 knots and the landing gear should be lowered and the flaps fully extended once this speed is achieved. Continuing to turn 90 degrees and trim to speed, so trim to AOA. So the plane has to come into a gliding mode. Descend to 600 feet altitude. So on the right side we have to maintain on 800 feet, going to turn left around the carrier and descending to 600 feet in a gliding position with all landing gear and flaps fully extended at 250 knots. There is not a mention here about the gliding speed, right? So don't read this is something else. The distance towards carrier has to be somewhere around 1.1, 1.3 miles. So it should be more like a circle here, not this rectangular, elongated graphic. Alright, once we arrive this position again, begin turn when you pass the LSO platform. That's pretty quickly. So when we pass the carrier platform, we should begin our turn, right? Approximately 30 degrees bank angle at descending at 450 feet. And when we are on alignment with the carrier landing stripe, intercept glide slope between 325 and 375 feet, called the ball. Alright, so this is the kneeboard. Let's see the message history. So once we're 50 miles, you should contact Marshall. I contacted Vaziani. Marshall should come out with tail number, bearing to carrier, distance and attitude and fuel state. This is all done automatically in the comms menu. Alright, the carrier will respond. Expected recovery heading will give us the heading and instructions to report seeing the carrier at 10 miles. So we have to report at 10 miles with a visual range that we see the carrier at this point will normally given a Charlie time, which is the exact time you leave the pattern and begin the case 1. DCS does not include as part of their ATC functionality. Let's just assume you were given a Charlie time, so we won't see that. As we approach Vaziani airfield, which it is called a carrier, reduce your speed to 250 knots, which is not as the case 1 recovery, which stayed 350 knots. But anyways, enter the Marshall stack at 2000 feet AGL and begin a shallow left turn that takes you above 5 miles to the left of the runway on the other side of the circle. So this maneuver is different from the case 1 recovery. It's different, very well different, because the speed is different, the altitude is different, and even the distance from the airfield on the left side, as we see here where I'm moving my mouse, is different. Here is 1.3 maximum distance, and on the airfield would be 5 miles distance, right? So let's concentrate on what he's saying right now. So he says that we will approach with 250 on 2000 feet AGL, so a little bit higher and slower. Okay, begin our turn, and he doesn't say that we should take out our gears and stuff. He says only 250 knots, enter Marshall stack, begin the shallow left turn, takes you about 5 miles on the left side of the runway. We will provide smoke markers. We will see some smoke markers at the positions. After we've crossed the runway twice, exit the pattern at position 3. Then swing around to the right of the runway to begin your case 1 recovery. So this first maneuver, it's not a case 1 recovery. It's a gliding down, because that stack, what he was talking about, the Marshall stack, it's like a multi-floor region around and above the carrier. So imagine that now we are in the upper floor, and with this maneuver we are descending 1 floor down, and then when we reach again the position on the right side of the airfield, which will be this. So we will do this and go down 1 floor, and when we reach here, only then we will engage the case 1 recovery maneuver. Yeah. So Vaziani Colt 1, this is our request, which doesn't give us the CRS, but I'll put it in manually so that it'll be there, right? I will disengage this kneeboard. Okay, I have to start the game again. All right. Let's introduce the CRS. F10. Let's see, where is Vaziani? Okay, I don't have the CRS there. I have to do it manually, which is 128. 128 F1. Let's press 128. Enter. What's happening here? Autopilot. Where is he going? Alright, so I have the CRS. Let's start the descent. We still have 30 miles. Okay, autopilot disengaged. And speed up the time. 15 miles. And the airfield is just down there.
We're about 10 miles away from the carrier, so at this point you would radio into Marshal the phrase, "See you at 10." You'll then be directed to update state and switch to tower, which means provide your current fuel state and then switch to the tower. DCS does all that automatically when you select report "See you at 10." In solo missions, you'll immediately get a signal as Charlie called, but as stated we're going to practice the Marshal so we know how to do it. We've popped smoke over the points so you can get an idea how big the pattern is. Just fly over them and we'll proceed around the pattern. At 250 knots, a good angle of bank is between 15 and 30 degrees, but keep adjusting as necessary to fly over the markers.
Clear for visual, contact tower.
Yeah, and we have the smoke markers. As you can see, the orange marker, which is the furthest, that's at the 5 miles distance. So where you can see the green smoke, that should be the right side of the so-called carrier, which is the Vaziani airfield. 2000 AGL. We are at 1300. We are not landing yet, so I don't have to check any landing gear. I have almost 300 knots in speed.
Okay, that's position 1. Complete a full 360-degree turn around the circle to return over the airfield, with your furthest distance from the airfield being about 5 miles. Maintain 2,000 feet and 250 knots.
Let's increase our altitude because it's not enough. Our speed is too high, and take as a reference point this green field down here, and here we turn to the red marker. Alright, which is somewhere between these two packs of trees here. Actually, after this line of trees, this river, and the first stack of trees. Alright, then we start turning towards those two fields which are perpendicular on each other. Here, and the orange marker should be right at the left of the yellowish field over there. 2300. Let's descend a little bit. 260 knots, and this is where we turn.
Okay, you're halfway through. You should be about 5 miles from the airfield.
Going towards the blue smoke, which is right after this small village ahead, between the small village and the bigger village. Right, 2000 feet, 246 knots. All right. 247 knots, 2000 feet, 1900 actually. The smoke is just right here. Okay, we passed the smoke, going back towards the green smoke. That's the position for the case 1 recovery. And we climbed to 4000, I don't know how, but we did. That's 2000. and now we are descending towards 800 because that's the altitude for entering the case 1 recovery. That's 800 feet. Accelerating a little bit.
Code 1. Vazani, check landing gear. Runway 13.
Alright, and we're
And that's a
passing the
complete
airfield.
pattern. Proceed to position 3 and prepare to depart the pattern for your case 1 recovery.
Something's went wrong here. Message history. So he says complete pattern. And I'm already on the airfield, so something went wrong here. Proceed to position 3, and that's the orange position, and prepare to depart the pattern for case 1 recovery. Let's go towards position 3, as he says.
Code 1. Going around, runway occupied.
Position 3 is the blue smoke, as I remember. Let's see. Position 3 is the orange. Where's the orange smoke? Oh my god, that's the furthest. Now this was confusing. Really confusing. We did all the pattern and then we ended up somewhere else. Alright, I'm over position
we've
3.
simulated the pattern and arriving at your designated Charlie time. Go ahead and exit the pattern and swing around to begin your case 1 recovery. Descend to 800 feet and accelerate to 350 knots.
Alright, descending, accelerating. ...360 knots. ...900 feet. Let's go towards entry of case 1. $900, 800, ATC off, alright, 750, 343 knots, getting ready to engage air brake and throttle to idle. When we get to these trees here, alright, throttle to idle, air brake, brake left, alright, 250, air brake off, gears down, flaps to full. Trimming, trim up, trim down, Trim down. Trim up. "160 knots, gliding. I'm gliding." Yep. Losing altitude. "160, 470. I should have 600. Trim down. I have 510. Alright, I should begin to turn. Alright, this is it. Easy.
Code 1, Razani, check landing gear. Runway 13.
Slower, slower. Throttle to idle.
Bolter, bolter, bolter.
Bolter
Go
then.
around and try again.
Whoa. Alright, let's see. Gear is down. Flaps are auto position. Let's turn. All right. Flaps to full. So I need more space to glide in. More space, so I should go more on the right side. Get more altitude too. I'm too close. Alright, flaps to full, gears are down. Let's try to turn. More. Alright, this should be okay.
trap.
Good. Air brake. Good. Taxi to parking area. Oh, I'm glad that I made it. So I need more room in order to turn in for the final turn on the carrier. Then I should be okay. I'm starting to wiggle it again. Let's increase the time. So this was not quite explicitly. It's loads of information, information which cannot be ingested so quickly.
Good job. Next up will be neutralizing air defenses, so get some lunch and be back here ready to train.
Alright, let's see the results. We have truck number 2, GIZ-66 destroyed, and truck number 1 by the GBU-38. BDA kill, score 100, and that's a good one. But the landing procedure and explanations and everything are too complicated for a new pilot, that's for sure. This has to be done, and after that out from the mission and done somehow off the plane, on the board or on the piece of paper, so that it should be very well understood. So this was the bombing run, the GPS bombing run with the Guntrex campaign with the bagel fix, which is not everything is alright with the bombing, but with the case 1 recovery not that good with all this. And when you are going through all the pattern, you're not getting out where you're supposed to get out. But anyways, if you want to learn and if you pay attention and if you insist on it, you can do it. So thank you so much for watching. Have a nice flight. Destroy many trucks, as many trucks as possible. I'm Vince. Until the next one, let's end the mission. Will be the seed, which means hunting the SAM sites. Till the next time, ciao.